Welcome back to my computer duders. This time we're going to complete the dome. That might be a bit ambitious. I don't want to promise anything I can't deliver. But it shouldn't take more than one episode, realistically. If I fucking hustle. Anyways. To do that I'm going to need dirt, though. I don't even have any shovels. Fuck. Man, maybe I spoke too soon. Wait, no, I have plenty of iron. Thought I was out of iron. If I have iron, I can make shovels. So I was rewatching Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And man, I only have more questions. I'm starting to appreciate more what they did. Because the real attraction has always been learning more about the xenomorphs and their life cycle and shit, and we already knew everything. So they kind of had to invent more to keep it fresh and interesting. And once you understand what the black goo is supposed to be, that it weaponizes the biology of anything it comes in contact with, it starts to become more palatable. Like the stuff you saw that didn't make sense starts to make some amount of sense. There's still problems with it, but it's not nearly as like what the fuck as it was before. Because everybody went into that movie thinking they knew everything about the alien life cycle. And then they were upset and confused when it greatly expanded upon it. But it did so in a somewhat logical way. Like the biomechanical qualities of the xenomorph were always supposed to be a product of the fact that it was a bioweapon. Not always. It was based on Geiger's artwork. Originally, they were an intelligent species, which was stupid. It makes more sense if you let go of the whole insect thing. They are insects, but they're also kind of a macroscopic virus because they can't reproduce on their own. They use other organisms to propagate their genes. Good, I needed more coal anyways. When am I going to hit lava? When the fuck am I going to hit? Well, I kind of need to. Once you get into auto smelting, if you don't have access to a lava vein, you're not going to be doing much auto smelting because, I mean, for the simple fucking reason that there's, if you have enough shit to smelt, you need an auto smelter. You need the fuel to go with it. You're not going to be able to harvest, I mean, mine enough coal to keep up with the rate of smelting. Oh, fuck. At least I don't have to go to land for it. Like, when you tell people you can live self-sufficiently underwater in this game, like, well, where would you get dirt? Pretty much everything can be gotten down here. As soon as you build a garden and a tree dome so you can grow plants. Plants were the only thing you really had to go to land for. Is it? Did I really just find some more iron? Yes, iron. Cool. Still no diamonds. Probably it's going to be a fucking year before I find a diamond. Even one. Optimistically. Let me see if I can get up here. There we go. This would be a good place to hide out if I wanted to like drop down and someone would be like, "Cha-cha-cha!" They would never even see it coming. He he he. He he he. I'm gonna need way more fucking dirt than you can even imagine. Domes are a bitch to clear out. They take so much filler. And of course, now I can't even burn the filler away. I'm never gonna not be salty about that. I wish there was a way to put leaf blocks in together into something denser that I could use as a filler material. That's it. That would be a compromise. I want to say they're not concerned about compromising with sea dwellers as such a small niche of people who play this game. But at the same time, they made the Aquatic update, so I don't know what to believe. See how fast I go through shovels? Holy shit. I guess realistically, if you dig this much dirt this quickly, it would mangle the fuck out of your shovel. Wow, it just keeps going. I'm not complaining. I might be able to source 100% of the dirt I need for this dome without ever setting foot on shore. If you think about it, it seems like I've been going to the surface a lot, but I've actually just been going to my fucking habitat. I have not been to the surface in several in-game days. So from the perspective of someone on the surface, I just disappear into the sea for fucking weeks at a time. Eventually for good. Eventually I go down and I just don't come up again. It's like how humans have only visited space for decades, but one day we'll go up and not come down. They say what goes up must come down, but not necessarily. Okay. What the fuck are you doing in here, fish? I'm gonna try to fill in as much as I can as quickly as possible, instead of just doing it layer by layer. Man, see, you know what I'm loving right now is my Oculus Go. I love just loafing on the bed with the fan on because it's hot as balls right now, and watching Netflix stuff. I wish Netflix had content that fully took advantage of the VR format, but that you could still watch while lying down. So I guess 180 hemispherical 3D video, but you can reposition the center point. Someone else is gonna think of that. If it's a good idea, like it'll be had by a lot of people. It's the nice thing about capitalism is that it incentivizes the monetization and democratization of good ideas. So you don't have just one person having a good idea and then keeping it to themselves, because you can make a lot of money by selling it to other people. Almost nothing that you can sell to people remains in the hands of a few if you create a profit incentive to share it. Capitalism has a lot of flaws, but nobody ever talks about the good qualities, because the people who control the narrative are the people who do not do a very good job under capitalism at competing, and are salty about that. That's not to say it isn't rigged. It's rigged as fuck. That happens in any system. That happens in any hierarchical system where you have a few big winners. Like even on YouTube. YouTube is a good analogy for any capitalistic system where eventually you just it starts out equal, but then disparities arise, and the more of an advantage you have early on, the more the advantage just grows and grows and grows, and it just becomes easier to pull further and further ahead of everybody else until there's one guy on the platform with 67 million followers. shilling a fucking reclining PC chair, nonetheless. This feels good. I'm getting 3 layers done at once. 4 layers. This isn't going to be huge, but it's going to be enough space that I don't feel cramped. Remember in the old base, the shallow water base, how nice it felt to have the dome to run around in? Just to be able to run and jump. Now we're deep enough that it doesn't look stupid, because the other one was almost touching the surface. It would be like having an underwater base where the highest point of it is only like a foot underwater, beneath, like under the surface. Which is pointless, I hope you agree. At that point, just get a boat. So I was at the hardware store recently. I said something that sounded like a lighthearted joke in my mind to the person helping me find the Schrader valve caps I was looking for. And I think she took it as an insult, as like a mean-spirited insult, which absolutely was not intended to be. But she responded with a mean-spirited insult. And I was kind of shocked, and I had to process for a second what had happened and why she had reacted that way. And I could have like talked to her employer, but that would have been low down and dirty, because there's been times in my life where I responded inappropriately because I misunderstood a situation. I've done that. I've been guilty of that. So I should be understanding when it happens to someone else. Plus, I really don't think that disagreements that are petty like that should lead to anybody losing their livelihood. That's like some SJW bullshit of trying to get people so they're homeless if they have a minor spat with you. I gotta remember not to dig out the ground layer of dirt. It's gonna look identical. Oh, this is tedious. You see how fucking tedious this is? And I can't just burn it away. I used to be able to. I can't burn it away anymore. I have to dig it all out, which makes the job essentially twice as difficult and tedious as it needs to be. If I had started with a chest, which I think I did originally, I would have a sponge, and I could use the sponge to drain the water. That smelted. Always, always, always need more iron. There's never a time when I don't need more iron. I like that I have bones ready, because then I can make bone meal, and I can accelerate the growth of the tree. So it won't be like last time where we had to wait multiple episodes to see a tree grow in the dome. I'm going to put it in a chest for safekeeping. I don't know if I'm going to die or not. I have no more dirt. I have to go get more dirt. There's some right there, but I don't want to dig out part of the tunnel. How much? Oh, this is the beginning of a large deposit. Here we go. This is good. This will do. I still hear lava nearby, so I'm going to want to be careful. I really appreciate large underground dirt deposits. If they disappeared at a certain depth, it would be extraordinarily inconvenient for me. Being able to source dirt and being able to source sand from the seafloor, those things are both crucial. Do you ever watch Shark Tank? I still have fantasies of going on there with some of my ideas sometimes. I don't want to say what they are because I haven't patented them, but they're not the shrewd businessmen that they appear to be sometimes. Like when Pat Boone went on and was shilling compressed air-powered cars, if any of those businessmen had any engineering chops, they would recognize that compressed air-powered cars are not going anywhere anytime soon because the energy density of compressed air is just terrible. It's worse than even the worst batteries. And the furthest they can make one of those things go on a full tank is like 5 miles. But Pat Boone didn't know that, and apparently neither did the Shark Tank guys, despite supposedly being such shrewd business dudes. Shrewd. Just a couple of shrewd dudes. Is a thing nobody ever says. Let me try to get out of here. There we go. Out of sight, out of mind. I need way more dirt than this, though. I hope there's more deposits than I've seen so far. I always need more coals. Well, until I find... The nice thing is, once you do find a lava lake, your problems are solved. Energy-wise. Basically forever. Because every single bucket of lava will smelt 256 items. Which means it's a waste if you don't use it with an auto smelter, because otherwise, if you're not paying close attention to it, so you can swap in another stack of 64 items, you'll just burn through all your lava having only smelted 64 items. So lava is basically ideal for auto smelters, as if you put those two together, then you get extraordinarily good efficiency, and you can smelt an extraordinary amount of items per bucket. Which means like an entire lake of lava will last you the rest of your game. I think only once in one map did I ever totally exhaust a lava deposit and have to build a base in the nether for the exclusive purpose of having easy access to unlimited lava. I don't really need more gold. I may as well, though. Because once I get the shit I need for wall clocks, I'm going to want a lot of them. I just like having them. Okay. Let's see. Man, planning how to have enough money to pay taxes on time this coming year is like planning how to have enough tribute food for Negan in The Walking Dead. I really think Negan was a government analogy. Because no matter how aligned the values of a government are with your values, it still amounts to basically a warlord with a bunch of guys working under him. And you have to do what they say and give them a cut of what you make. Otherwise, they come at you with guns and put you in a jail cell or kill you. That's what it amounts to. At the end of every law is a man with a gun. If you disobey for long enough, the guns always come out. Some people have a problem with that, unsurprisingly. I miss Altered Beast. That was a great Sega game. How come they haven't rebooted that? Like, you start off as a scrawny dude, and then you consume a spirit orb that came out of a blue two-headed wolf that you kicked to death. That's relatable. That's relatable to our modern millennial audience who kicks blue wolves to death all the time in order to get swole. Because it's organic. Fuck, this is taking so much dirt. Holy shit. I'm going to have to go to land. God damn it. So much for self-sufficiency. Let's see, what's the time looking like? I've still got time. Before sundown. It's going to look nice to have that lit up. It's kind of asinine that it takes such a large structure just for one tree. I guess I could build it smaller if I knew exactly, like to a T, how much space a single tree needs, and just exactly build it to be large enough for that. But the dome is cool. The dome fits the whole... Shit, I didn't bring a good enough shovel. This is going to break really soon. Where'd my habitat go? There it is. I remember when water this deep wasn't remarkable. I also remember cursing myself for turning on large biomes in the last map I played on, not realizing that it's really necessary in order to have a large enough deep sea biome to build in. But it does mean that when you want to find anything else, like a jungle biome or some shit, it's fucking almost impossible. Get out of here. There we go. I also realized that living the way that I do, I've become out of touch with how far removed my own habits and thought processes are from normal, healthy people. Like, I realized this the last time, it was the holidays when I was visiting my aunt and uncle, and we had just nothing to talk about. Like, nothing in their lives that they enjoyed was relatable to anything in my life that I enjoyed. Like, we were from different countries or something, or for different planets. So what do I need? I need iron. I need wood. Do I have even enough wood? Yes. See, this is why I need trees down here. Even one tree would supply replacement wood frequently enough that I wouldn't have an issue with being able to build new tools, at least. It wouldn't make wood frequently enough to use it as a fuel, so that wouldn't work. But for everything else, it'd be fine. Oh, it's not night? What are you talking about? It's all. Look at that. It's almost night. I'm not going to shore if it's just going to get dark. Remember the water in Blood and Duke Nukem 3? Yeah, it had water. Duke Nukem 3D. Like in Doom, there wasn't really water. You just walked on top of a texture that looked like water, and it was still totally solid. They didn't even think of having the player sink into it. Like in Hexen and Heretic, there was water. You could sink waist deep in it, but you couldn't submerge. Then in Duke Nukem 3D and Blood and Shadow Warrior, they had water where there was an underwater area that was the same shape as the above water area, and when you pushed crouch to submerge, you would actually be silently teleported to the underwater area to create the illusion of submerging. Whereas I think in Marathon 1 and... No, Marathon 1 didn't have water. Marathon 2 did. It was actually rendering multiple floor and ceiling planes because their water was like legitimate, despite it being a sector-based engine. You didn't teleport to some other room or anything. It was just another ground plane that could be transparent, in fact, with hardware acceleration. Water was not simple to do on those old 3D engines. Not even on Quake, because on Quake, the water had to be opaque so that they could block out all the other polygons that would be otherwise be visible. Do I have what I need? I have what I need. I just need to sleep. I'm going to try to get wool while I'm on land. So I'm getting dirt and I'm getting wool. I need like a shopping list of shit to grab from land without asking. That's much deeper. That's much more satisfactory, I think. I feel like the deep sea biomes have gotten slightly deeper. Oh, deeper. Oh, yeah. Twist my nipples, Hans. Oh, you know what I like so much. So I've been watching a lot of Czechoslovakian or Czech Republic, I forget which one it is now, VR porn, because they're the only ones who understand how to film it properly. Like in all the other ones, the woman is too large, or they get like the distortion effect wrong, so that it looks like everything's like twisted. But no, the fucking Czechs of all people have nailed it. They've perfected filming hemispherical and spherical 180 or 360 VR content. And I start to worry that this is going to sexualize their accent for me, because when I was growing up as a wee lad, I know some of you think that I just tumbled out of the cloning pod fully formed, but I had a childhood. We would vacation in Minnesota, so all my summer sweethearts, you know, who I got my first kiss from, and then I never fucking called or heard from again because it didn't occur to me because I was a stupid spurg. Anyways, they all had Sarah Palin accents. Yeah, don't you know? Because that's the common accent to have in Minnesota. So I began to have like a sexual. I don't want to say sexual because I was pretty young. It was the birth of romance in my heart. It was like, hey, girls aren't icky. Girls are actually really neat. But I was attracted very strongly to that accent because all my memories of like fooling around with and kissing girls were like blonde Lutheran Minnesotan girls who had that accent. So it was definitely a charged accent for me that got a reaction out of me for a while. But then two things ruined it. The first one was the mother from, I think, Bobby's World. She had that accent. Not Bobby Hill. What the fuck am I thinking of? And also Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin has that accent, which made it kind of icky. Like, not that she wasn't attractive, but I don't understand the pervasive attraction to dumb women. I guess because they're dumb and easily controlled. I guess some dudes are into that. I'm not. Like, when I meet somebody and I can understand things that they can't understand, I get kind of weirded out. It's like an uncanny valley effect. It's like, am I really talking to a person? And I'm not a bright man. I've made some dumb mistakes, but so to encounter people who sincerely think the world is flat, for example, it's like, is this a Cylon? Is this a person or a Cylon? Is this a real human being? There's no way. So Sarah Palin was not boner inducing for me. She was upsetting. It's actually even more upsetting when the really hyper dumb people are really attractive too. Because one part of your body is saying go for it, and the other part's like, no, she doesn't have opposable thumbs. It's almost a Homo sapien, but not quite. Then again, it's not like our species doesn't have a rich history of boning semi-human hominids. It's the only reason any Neanderthal DNA is still around. Fuck you, flower. Fuck every flower. You know what you did. I don't have to tell you. I'm gonna just keep getting dirt until the shovel breaks. 'Cause I don't know for sure how much I'm gonna need. I'm totally ruining the landscape, but once again, I don't give a shit. It'd really be funny if that was a game feature. If there were like cops who showed up and said you needed a permit for environmental destruction. I think I have more iron. Iron is not going to be a problem. Isn't it weird how chemically similar iron is to steel? Steel is like almost identical to iron. It's like one small difference in the preparation of it. And yet it yields such a visually different metal. Metallurgy is fascinating. A lot of people don't realize metals are crystalline in terms of their molecular structure. They're like an ice, kind of. They're like the frozen version of magma. And they assume a crystalline lattice structure at the molecular level when they're solid. So like on some other world where life is adapted to drastically lower temperatures, water is like their version of magma. And ice is like their metal. Where the fuck? There it is. That's the downside of building so deep. You can't find your shit. Especially when it's in a ravine like this. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. So there's good things and bad things about the new map. The good thing is it has way deeper oceans. The bad thing is it also has a lot of small islands. So I'll have to work around the small islands or demolish them. I don't think I'm going to demolish them though. And I'm out of time, but I'm going to keep going until I fill up the dome. It's going to take 3 fucking episodes to completely finish this dome from building the 4 episodes. 1 episode was taken up building the platform. 1 episode was taken up building the glass part. 1 episode was taken up filling it with dirt, and 1 episode will be taken up by digging the dirt out. 4 episodes to build 1 dome. That should give you an idea of what a fucking huge investment domes are. Which should give me reason to find a more material efficient way to grow trees underwater. There's got to be. Like a canister that's just exactly big enough in diameter for trees or something. If I'm only going to grow 1, I don't need all this wide space around the bottom of it. You need to go to the Minecraft Wikipedia and see exactly what the space requirements for a tree growing are. I don't even need the biggest tree because I don't need wood that frequently. I just need the ability to generate wood on demand. Remember the fucking love interests from 1980s movies? Like Flight of the Navigator didn't have one, did it? I'm thinking of Explorers. Explorers had one. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids had one. There's always like a blonde girl that the main character liked in school, but he was too nerdy and shy. It's just wish fulfillment on the part of the directors. That I think shaped too many people's appetites for like Disney princess type girls that were cast for those roles just to appear wholesome and pretty. Not that I have anything with wholesome, pretty women. It's just it was always the same type of girl in every movie. Also, movie tropes give impressionable. Not I don't think all children, but I think autistic kids absorb a lot of how they think the world works from movies and television, more so than is normal for children, just because they're naive and want the world to work that way. So if you have like a spurg child, a little spurgling, a spurglet, maybe watch what they're consuming media wise, because I don't think that's true for all kids, but I do think for kids on the spectrum, they absorb things like that like a sponge, and then they try to act it out. This is the finished dome. I'm already over time, so I'm not gonna spend the whole next 30 minutes emptying it out. But you'll get to see that on the next episode. So remain on the edge of your seat, only on the very edge. I'm not paying for your entire butt to be in that seat. I'm not made of money here.